Welcome to Fill in the Blanks podcast. I am Ilani and we have the hard conversations.
If we are not very conscious about our health and looking after that, the main thing is what will happen if it packs up. As you know, when you've got a business, you've got so many other people depending on you.
Yeah, just by taking the time out for yourself to make sure that you look after your mental health, you actually create capacity for yourself to deal with more.
At some stage, you get to that level where there's no resilience left.
Yeah.
And what I find with yoga is that you create that little space again from where you're there and you can't take anymore, and taking this hour out to bring it down to a level where you've got capacity again.
That was quite a scary moment for me to face. If I wasn't going to stop, my body was going to stop for me. This morning, I'm very excited to have Alma Darlington, the founder and director of ERS Group, with us to chat about success, sustainability, and making sure we keep ourselves as healthy as possible. Alma, it's so lovely to have you.
Thank you, Ilana. I'm looking forward to talk to you.
Great. Alma, tell us a little bit about yourself. You just mentioned you are the chief operator, the bottle washer, the beginning and the end of ERS Group. Don't you just want to tell the audience a little bit more about what you do?
Yes. Well, you know you're an entrepreneur yourself. So it starts with you, it ends with you. And all in between depends on you. I started ERS in 2007. We started with third-party recoveries in the insurance industry. Then we added to that ERS Debt Collect, which is helping businesses to collect their monies from outstanding debtors. And we've got ERS Properties, and part of that is the yoga studio. And that's the latest baby in the group about which I'm so excited.
So when I hear you talk about ERS, I can hear it's very corporate orientated. It's serving the entrepreneurs, but starting a yoga studio is quite a far pivot from the corporate things you just listed. How did you pivot into opening the yoga studio?
Well, I've been doing yoga for very long. And the reason is it was my sanity break at the end of the day. And I always believe that being an entrepreneur or any person, you should have 3 hobbies. You must have a hobby that makes money, and hopefully that's your work, that it's not a job, but a hobby that earns you money or make money for you. Then you need to have a hobby which keeps you creative. Because creativity is not only making things, it's being an entrepreneur. That is also about thinking about new plans, always creating new, you know the story. And then the last one is something that keeps you healthy.
Yeah.
And I believe if you can keep that balance, you can have a fairly balanced life. And that's where the yoga studio came in.
I think as entrepreneurs, balance isn't necessarily something that's always in our vocabulary, right? And we often push ourselves beyond our limits. We push ourselves beyond what we should physically, mentally, emotionally.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us a little bit more about the emotional benefit as well of having this third hobby that keeps you physically healthy, but also engages you in a different way?
Yes, it's so important. If we are not very conscious about our health and looking after that, the main thing is what will happen if it packs up. And so many entrepreneurs or business owners land there where they become sick or where their health just fails them, and then everything comes to a standstill. And as you know, when you've got a business, you've got so many other people depending on you.
Yeah.
So you need to think about them as well. It's not only about yourself, it's about them as well. So it's so important to care for that and to maintain that balance. And for me, that's what yoga does. And yoga is so much more. It's not only the physical exercise that you do, which is so important, especially when we get older, because yoga focuses on balance, on strength, on being flexible. And the older we get, in your industry, I think you see it so often, older people tend to fall.
Yeah.
And if we don't work on our balance, literally standing up, being able to stand on one leg and so on, that becomes a huge problem. Not being able to stand up.
Yeah.
Things like that. Not being able to stand up from a carpet or sitting on the floor.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing. The other thing with yoga is that you work with your breath.
Yes.
So it's literally, and I try to get you come to scuba dive with me. So I've always said, in scuba diving, when I get very anxious, I think, can you breathe? Yes, I can breathe. So I can sort out all problems. And it's the same with yoga.
Yes.
If you can move and you can breathe, you can do yoga. And in yoga, we work with our breath. So it's one movement, one breath. You breathe in, you do this, you breathe out. It calms yourself down. It's got an impact on your vagus system. It's just amazing practice. It's a mindful practice. So for that hour or for how long ever you do the yoga, you're out of the world out there. You're just in your mind, in your body, focusing there. So for that hour, everything else disappears, and it's about you and your mental stability.
That is actually a profound thing. I'm just thinking about, yes, on the one hand, we're talking about entrepreneurs and keeping us healthy, but often entrepreneurs also have family members that go through a health crisis. Mm-hmm. And when you're already high-strung, you already don't have capacity to deal with a crisis or a trauma.
Yeah.
If that wiggle room is already so small, I mean, when crisis hits, there's just no reserve
Absolutely
left.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is just by taking the time out for yourself to make sure that you look after your mental health, you actually create capacity for yourself to deal with more. Am I correct in saying?
You are so right. Last year, 2025 was a hectic year for many people. Well, often many years are a hectic year for many people, but for me personally, 2025 was really a challenging year. And in the beginning of 2025, I said, if anybody says to me, we must be resilient, I want to tell them where to take resilience to, because living in South Africa, dealing with the challenges we are dealing with, but not only here, all over the world, but I think we're familiar with our situation. Being resilient is what we are. That's what South Africans are. We're resilient. We're a resilient nation. That's why we survive all of this. But at some stage, you get to that level where there's no resilience left. Yeah. And what I find with yoga is that you create that little space again from where you are there and you can't take anymore, and taking this hour out to bring it down to a level where you've got capacity again. And it's just that mental going into a different space. Yeah. And I believe that everybody who started doing yoga with me can support this and say, after that hour, you just feel different. I had some of the girls that was lying on the floor. We call our last pose Savasana. It's where you lie like a corpse. And you're just breathing, relaxing, and they really go in a deep state of relaxation, a little bit of meditation. And I know this sounds very Eastern, but it is what it is. You can apply it the way you want to. But after that, you've created space again for resilience, just to carry on for the next day or two.
Yeah. So, Alma, I think personally for me, 2025 was also a very difficult year in the sense my own mother had a heart attack, and we went through that whole recovery process where she was hospitalized for about 3 months. I'm running my own business. We are in the business of caring for people. I'm not selling wedding dresses, not hating on anyone selling wedding dresses, but I mean, we have a lot of things that demand a lot from us on a day-to-day
emotionally
basis. Physically, emotionally, spiritually, all the elites, I would say, there was a demand on us. And I also went through quite a bit of restructuring in my own business. So if I just think physically and mentally what I went through during that time, being a business owner, but also a family member, having to stand up and make arrangements for my mom, make sure that, she had everything that she needed, then come back to the office, make sure our patients are cared for, then go home and tend to the things in my personal life. I must say, your cup definitely runs empty. And I wonder what an effect it would have had on me had I just come for a session and taken that time out for myself. Because I also got to a point where I actually went for some counseling, and my counselor said, look, you need to take some time out. There's no way, you're now at a crossroads. If you don't stop, your body is going to stop for you. And that was quite a scary moment for me to face, that if I wasn't going to stop, my body was going to stop for me.
Exactly.
And I think the reality is that life happens. We don't deal with things in isolation. You know, your family member doesn't wait until a convenient time for you to have a medical crisis.
Exactly.
Your business doesn't wait until you are well rested after a holiday before, you know, things transpire that you need to urgently attend to. But those are things that we cannot control. What I'm also hearing is that, you know, what you advocate for at your yoga studio is really getting yourself into a space where you feel more in control, right? So not focusing on the uncontrollables, but in there, you really focus on your body, the movement, the breath work that you can control. Am I right in saying that?
You are so right. And I can also hear you the go-to person in your family. So everything ends with you, and you need to take control and sort it out and so on. And you're a fixer by nature. And that puts a lot of stress on you. And it is so true that there will always happen things that we've got no control over. So the only thing you do have control over, I believe, are the 6 inches between your ears, is how you think, how you react, taking that pause before you react, which is, for me personally, very difficult because I'm also a fixer and I'm a go-getter, need to get things done. And it's sometimes difficult to take that pause. Often, just to think before you say something to somebody. Most of all, the things you say to yourself or think about yourself. And in yoga, we learn to take that pause. It's just to breathe for a while. And that's what you say is so correct. It's all about your breath. And it's often, you know, there's a saying, just take a breath or just take a breather. And you never think about what it really means. But you can often prevent so many things. You can act so different in situations if you can learn to stop, breathe, think, and then react.
Yes, I love that. A different spin on it is where they say practice the pause. You know,
Pause.
before you react, before you just say something out of a space of survival mode, because what we need to understand, when we're under pressure, we are in survival mode.
Absolutely.
When we're in survival mode, your thinking brain actually switches off. It is your fight, flight, or fawn reaction that's online at that moment in time. And when we react from that space, when we react from a space of we're reacting, we are fighting, we're flighting, we're fawning. Fawning means we freeze. That really isn't conducive to problem solving, to crisis management,
Or effective problem solving.
effective problem solving, right? So yoga essentially takes us out of survival mode back into your thinking. They call it your wise mind. It takes you back into your wise mind,
Yeah.
right? So Alma, what type of people at the moment do you see at your studio coming in and out? I mean, there's a certain population that I'm sure is moving in and out of your studio. Like, what type of people listening right now could be your ideal person to walk into your studio?
Ilana, if you look at me, you'll say I'm not the typical Instagram yogi. I mean, you get these beautiful photographs, and it's absolutely amazing to see what people can do in yoga and some of the yoga poses. There are many of these poses I can't do. I will probably not ever be able to do it. But what I see in my yoga studio now is, and that's the people I want there. I want the people who think, can I do yoga? It's too complicated. I say if you can breathe and you can move, you can do yoga. So what I've started is more catering for people my age or people that think, you know, I haven't practiced for a very long time. I haven't done any sport for a very long time, but I know I need to do something because I'm getting older and like I've said to you, the balance, the strength, the flexibility is going to become a bigger and bigger problem. And I've started the beginning of this year chair yoga. For people who feels, but I can't get off the carpet once I'm there, or I can't touch my toes, and that's okay. So now we use the chair to support you doing the yoga, and we start with the strength exercises there. And once you've done that and you feel now I'm ready to move on to a different class, we've got the basic yoga flows, which is beautiful. And it's really simple poses, but we always joke and say, nobody has ever realized you can start actually not knowing where to go next because you stand quietly and still, but it's so difficult. So that's the one. And then we've got a nurturing yoga class where we really go into stretches, and it's just a relaxed, calm class. But afterwards you can feel you've actually done a lot of work with your body and you're in a better shape than what you were before. And some of the students was telling me, they could see from 1 week to the next that they are more flexible, they get easier into some of the poses than the week before.
Yeah.
So it's really something that stimulates and work with your body and with your muscles quickly.
Yeah. So I think, Alma, from what I'm hearing as well, is you are catering to a different type of population.
Definitely,
right?
yes.
You don't need to be as flexible as a hoople to actually join
Not
one of
at
your
all.
classes. And what I'm also hearing, you cater to a little bit of an older population, those that are afraid to just walk into a upbeat yoga studio.
Yes.
And what I'm hearing is that you can get from it what you're going to get from it, what you make from it.
Absolutely.
Or what you need from it, right? And what I just want to pull through to the rest of our audience, yes, we kicked off this session with regards to talking about entrepreneurs and stress management and stopping and listening to your body, creating space in your mind to actually have capacity for when life happens. But I do want to pull it through to the audience to say, for some people, it might be yoga. For other people, it might be CrossFit. For other people, it might be taking a walk with your dog.
Absolutely.
But the message that we do want to bring across is life is going to happen. That is outside of our control. Whether you are employed, whether you are an entrepreneur, whether you are self-employed, life is going to happen. A family member is going to have a health crisis at some stage. You are going to face some form of crisis in your life at some stage. But if you do not take the time out to stop and create capacity within your own mind, strengthening your body, listening to your body, and feeding yourself what it needs, you're not going to have capacity when life actually happens. So I think this is such a beautiful way for people to possibly step into a world that they've never considered, Alma, where they can actually listen to their bodies and create space for themselves. So just for our audience, some of them who are in Pretoria, if they want to find you, if they want to come and pop in for a class with you, Alma, where can they find you? How can they reach you?
Ilani, I've got a yoga studio at my office. My office is in the Garsfontein Office Park in 645 Jacqueline Drive in Garsfontein. At this stage, we do classes in the afternoons from 4:30 until about 6, and everybody is welcome. And they can find us at Deeply Rooted Yoga Studio, or they can contact me on Facebook or...
We'll definitely add your link in our bio and in the show notes just so that they can reach out to you.
Thank you.
So this is Fill in the Blanks, where we have the hard conversations. And today we want to focus on the people in our audience that really struggle to admit they need help, that struggle to admit that they need to give their bodies and their minds a break and capacity to deal with life when it really happens. Alma, I really want to thank you for taking the time out. You've made such an impact in our community and the people we rub shoulders with. The feedback that I've gotten about the sessions at your studio is just amazing, and that's why I invited you. So thank you for taking the time. It was amazing to hear your story, And yeah, I really enjoyed just chatting through what you do and your why specifically.
Thank you, Ilani. It's always nice talking to you, and thank you for the opportunity. I believe that yoga is the way to go to keep people healthy in their mind, their body, their soul.
That's what it's all about. In the end, we are holistic beings. We need to tend to ourselves physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. This is Fill in the Blanks. Tune in, same time, same place next week.